On three, everybody say, "Let's go, Giants."
That is not a good way to start off this
That
podcast.
landed so flat.
Is not a
Yeah, it
good
did.
way to start this off, right? We have a guest here tonight, Atticus. Let's be courteous at least.
We need to
You
be
know,
good for
don't
company.
don't subject him to having to cheer anything New York Giants,
Hey,
right?
Other than
let's
the
go,
orange
Bo
and blue.
Nix, right?
Bo
Let's
Nix.
go, Bo Nix. I got
Absolutely.
mm,
You guys
mm, mm,
finally
mm.
upgraded that quarterback position, huh?
Yeah, they did.
It's a
I mean,
little
Yeah, they
early
did.
to
Russell
say
Wilson still
upgraded.
fleeced y'all.
Little early to say upgraded.
Are we gonna wait? Hold on a second. Are we still going with "Let's ride," or is that has that ship sailed?
No, that's done. That's done. That is done. So a friend, a YouTuber my son follows, said now all Broncos fans are now known as boners.
I like it. I
Yeah.
like it.
I tried changing my fantasy team name to I've got a boner, but ESPN wouldn't let me.
Ah, it might
I
have
tried
violated
substituting
one of their fan things, right?
exactly. I tried changing the O to a zero, a couple dashes, wouldn't go through.
I wonder if
So I went
somebody
with
got it already, or if they
maybe.
just
I don't know.
No,
So
they're
I went with
it's just one of those words they highlight.
yeah. So
yeah.
I went with Big Nick's energy.
Big. I
Which
like it. That works too.
That works. So
I like it because it's a little ode to Philly, but it's sounding a little cowboyish. That's all.
cowboyish.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have to change it then. Can't be associated with them at all.
Can't do
I'd
it.
be thrown out of my house.
Can't do it.
Sorry about that, gentlemen.
It's all right.
So, how are we feeling in the AFC West?
Uh, I've said this the past couple of years, but I think our climb to relevance is back. And a lot of people shitting on their defense, but I don't know, man. I know it's just preseason, but some of these guys just a little concerned about the defensive backfield. Other than Sertan, I was not a fan of losing Justin Simmons.
Now, Patrick did they wrap his contract up? Because I
No,
know
they have not.
they have not.
Not that I'm aware of.
I
That's a
mean, the
priority.
concern for your defense is valid, though, right? I mean, you guys gave up 413 points last year. That's
Seventy
greater
in
than
one game.
24 points a game. By far the worst defense in your division. What have
Yeah.
you seen that makes you feel better about your defense going into this new season?
Um, the D line seems to be a little healthier. What's his name? Jared. I can't remember his name. Allen. He's playing solid. They got rid of that ridiculous guy they got from the Cowboys that just retired because no one will sign him.
Was that
Um,
DeMarcus Ware?
nah, no. Demarcus Ware, he retired after they won the Super Bowl
Wait a minute, who was that?
6 years. Um, Gregory, Randy Gregory.
Randy Gregory, that's who it was. He was the fun guy. Stayed in
Yeah,
the news.
yeah. So he was, they got rid of him, which was good. But yeah, I think the linebackers are solid though, especially outside linebacker. Bonito is solid, and then Browning, I love State, but Bonito's like I said, Browning's he had a real good year, and then Cooper, the one that did the scoop and score against the Bears last year, he's
Mhm.
solid. So I think on linebacker they're solid. Sertan, but I just don't see a whole lot. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Because I keep getting notices my speaker aren't working.
We
It's
can hear
You
it
good?
you.
goes
You
in and
kind
out
of
a little
faded a
bit.
little bit.
It
All right,
just sounded like it faded a little bit.
all right. But then
Switching
what's it?
gears.
PJ Lock at safety.
Yeah.
He's not Simmons, but he had a few picks last year, so I think he feels pretty solid too. So, but I mean, obviously, all the excitement's around Big Bo.
Yeah.
And he looked really good. I don't pay a lot of attention to preseason. I didn't watch the third game at all, but I watched when he was playing, and he looked solid. Like quick release, good decisions when he had to move. He made some good throws. So he's encouraging. I'm really excited to see what Javonte Williams does this year. And last year was off because he came back from the torn ACL, actually an MCL. So last year was a little weak, but I think he runs the ball hard. I love watching him run the ball. And then that other running back they got, McLaughlin, he's a real solid backup. So I think the running game's going to be solid. Just takes the pressure off Bo Nix. They didn't get rid of Cortland, which I was very happy to see. Cortland
They're
Sutton, I think, is one of the more underrated receivers in the league.
So who do you think your number two is going to be if they're talking about getting rid of Patrick?
Um, Marvin Mims,
I mean, they're talking about cutting Patrick.
yeah, which I would be
Yeah, I
when he
read
was
about
healthy,
that
he was a
today.
great third down back, a receiver.
Right.
He always seemed to make the big plays on third down, so I'd be really disappointed if they got rid of him, but that might be a salary cap thing. But Marvin Mims is solid, and that kid they got, the Reynolds they just got from Detroit, his Achilles is what Peyton say, has some wear and tear on it, whatever that may mean. So he'd probably be either slow to start the year or not start the year at all. So Marvin Mims, I mean, they're talking about giving him some more touches, and then they did draft a guy. I can't remember what his name is. They drafted a guy that they were pretty high on. I guess he played with Bo Nix in Oregon. So I guess they're hoping the familiarity of them working together. I don't know about I don't know if it's as good as Jamar and Burrow, but something along those lines that they know each other. And the tight end position scares me too, though. Dulcich is solid, but he's always hurt. And then Troutman is mediocre at best, so we'll see what happens there.
What about the kid
Which
Nate Atkins? You like him?
what position is he? I don't even remember.
Tight
I don't
end.
even remember. Tight end.
Hmm.
I didn't really see too much about him, so I didn't see him play a lot this. But hey, can't hurt because that's always been an opportunity for us. Because like I said, every time we get a decent tight end, they seem to go down. Noah Fant was a big disappointment, and then like I said, Dulcich. Every time he looks like he's going to be a stud, then he hurts something.
Yeah.
We'll see, but I think they're going to lean on the running game a lot. And like I said, I'm really excited to see Javonte Williams this year. I thought he was his rookie year. He looked like had all pro written all over it, and then of course, it was against the Raiders. He tore up his knee.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens after that. But yeah, you're right. The defense scares me. And remember, all those points, 70 of them came in one game. And
Yeah,
that
it's
was
just a rough way to go. And it looks like your rush defense was probably the Achilles heel of the problems you had on
absolutely,
defense.
absolutely. I remember against the Jets, Brees Hall busted a 70-yarder or something like that. And my son was beside himself.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, second year under Peyton, he made the changes he had to make. And I don't know if anyone's noticed. I'm sure your bride has noticed Russell ain't playing too well.
Who's
So
that?
who who Russ Wilson?
Oh, you said my bride?
Your bride, yes.
Listen, I give a shit about they still need a quarterback in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know what
do.
they're gonna do. I
Yeah,
think Justin Fields has actually looked better than Russell
yeah.
Wilson. I think a lot of people felt like Russell Wilson was going to do okay, better than he did coming out of Denver, going into Pittsburgh, like a fresh start almost.
Yeah.
But no, we're seeing the same Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh that we saw in Denver. And it's kind of mind-boggling. I don't know that I've ever seen somebody take a nosedive off a cliff to the degree that he did. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, but he had some suspension issues. He had a lot of
Yeah.
time away from the game and a lot of things that probably troubled him mentally. But Russell Wilson is like an anomaly, from the
Mm-hmm.
quarterback position anyway.
See, I know
So
you don't
I
follow
don't.
baseball too.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Like I think that when you look at last year, Denver was bad, right? Like they weren't a good football team. Russell did not have a bad year, right? Like
Wait, hold on. Not
but
last year.
but
They looked better.
so he threw the ball fairly well. He had a 26 to 8 TD to interception ratio. You know, he only threw for 3,000 yards, which, is that all on him? Is that just the offense, as a whole, just not being adequate enough?
That's
I'm
a
not
new
sure.
system. That's a new system, and
You
the
know what I
head
mean?
coach trying to figure out what they're going to do.
And as far as, I don't want to gear off and slide all the way to talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers because it's not my forte. I don't really like talking about them if I don't have to. But Justin Fields
You like
is,
to beat up on them, though, don't you?
yeah, I do. I mean, his problem is he can't hold on to the ball. He has a fumbling problem. So I don't know. I think Russell still gets the nod to start the season and prove it in real live game action, right? Because I don't think Fields is the answer at all,
I think
right?
Russell will get the nod. I don't think he's earned it from what he's put on
That's
the
fair.
field during his preseason and offseason in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
See, Russ's stats last year, you brought up the 26-8, but that was a safe 26-8. He didn't take a lot of chances, a lot of 3rd and 8. You do a little 5-yard out or something,
It
hoping
was
the
a lot of
receiver would make
quick
the
game.
first.
Was he
Yeah,
ever
so
really a risk taker in
oh, he
Seattle?
used to throw the ball
Oh
deep.
yeah,
With
he used to
Seattle,
float
he
him
was
down the
known for the
field,
deep ball.
man.
Okay.
He wasn't bad, and he did it with no offensive line too, which was unbelievable. I mean, his deep ball used to it
It's
seemed
one of
like
the
it used to
prettiest.
kiss off the moon, come back down in the perfect spot.
One of the prettiest.
One of the prettiest.
I was not unhappy with that move at all. I mean, the salary hit killed us.
Oh yeah.
But they negotiate. They worked their way around a little bit. And I think, like I said, I think we climbed back into relevant. I don't think a wild card's out of the question this year. Maybe that's me as a
Wild
fan.
card.
In that division,
I think you're getting
Yeah.
a little extra. I
Nah.
I do, man.
Time for me
Like
to go pee in a cup, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. Like Bo Nix he had a good college career. He's looked really good in preseason. I think I look adequate in preseason if I'm, just gonna put an
no,
analogy out there.
he's been a step above adequate. The
It's
kids played
preseason,
well during the
man. Like
preseason.
I watched him play. I stay up late, so I watched a lot of Pac-12 games, and against the Pac-12, he was lights out.
Yeah,
Against outside of the Pac-12, maybe not necessarily the case.
right.
So when there was a step up in play, opposite team play, he struggled a little bit, and so we're gonna see when they're at live game speed, I'll see. We'll get to know who Bo Nix really is.
Yeah,
I
I
know
do have
you're
a
hoping he's
question.
got that big Knicks energy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll see. And well, you said that division, the only team that scares me in that division is obviously the Chiefs.
Herbert
I'm not
doesn't scare
so
you.
who?
Justin Herbert putting up $4,300, 4,300 yards average per year. He doesn't scare you.
He's a good quarterback, but he doesn't win.
I
And
have
he's
a
never had a
better question for
defense.
you.
Yeah,
I got a better question for you. Bo Nix was named your starter.
correct.
Do you think he should be your starter?
100% over Stidham and whatever. Wilson, yeah, 100%.
I, you know, I don't know. I think this is a good topic to talk about because I think a lot of teams have through I think through the process of how we've become a we want to win now type of attitude in a league as opposed to we're going to sit this guy who we invested a lot of draft capital into. We're going to develop this guy and make him to be a good quarterback, maybe start him halfway through the season or for a second season in the league as opposed to throwing him out to the wolves to start. Everybody's not going to do what Ben Roethlisberger did and win the Super Bowl year one, right? The Broncos know that they're in a rebuilding phase, right? There's a lot of questions with the Broncos. Maybe you've answered the question at the quarterback position, but do you take this first year and throw him out there, day one starter, potentially break him down to the point where you shake up his confidence a little bit because he struggles? Or do you slow walk them like they did Aaron Rodgers and a lot of the other quarterbacks back in the day?
I think they still want to try to field a competitive team. I don't see the other two guys doing that. I mean, Zach Wilson, I think we all know what he does. And Stidham, he looked all right towards the end of the year, but all right. And I think with Peyton as their coach, I think that's the right guy to kind of get him through that. If he does struggle, I think he'll be all right keeping his confidence up. I've thought about that too. You know, he's the first starting quarterback for the Broncos that they drafted since Elway. And then Elway's first game, they pulled him first halfway through the game. Steve DeBerg finished up. But I think it's the right move. I really do. And yeah, a lot of people have this win now attitude. And I think Bronco fans, especially, we haven't been relevant since that happened 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. But I think it's the right step. I think, even my son, we haven't gone to a game in 3 years. And now he's like, you know what? I want to go this year because they're young, it's exciting, they're growing. It may be a loss again, but it'll be fun to watch. So I think it's the right
Yeah.
move. It's getting the fan base excited. My son being a prime example. Now, of course, we're trying to pick a game we think they're going to win, so we're going to go when they play Carolina. But we'll
What do you
see.
think, Mike? You think starting your rookie quarterback year one is the way to go, or
I think there's a large gap between, let's just say, Troy Aikman, who I think went 1-11. I don't even think he started the season as the starter, but he went 1-11, got sacked constantly, but he bounced back, right? The flip side of that is the David Carrs, who never recovered from being on a really bad team, getting demolished as a rookie, and subsequently the following few years that he actually played in the league, and he just never got it. And he had the skill sets to be an NFL quarterback, but he just got psyched out. That's the only way I could put it, right? Like there comes a time when you start hearing feet coming, and we've seen that. We've seen the history more often than not. I don't think that we're going to go back to the days though of getting a quarterback and drafting him in the first round and having the luxury of letting him sit. Every single quarterback that got drafted this year, I think, is the starter. Pretty certain. At least first round quarterback. Drake May, I believe, is going to be the starter in New England. Bo Nix obviously is the starter. Caleb Williams is obviously the starter. Jaden Daniels is the starter. We got a lot of rookie quarterbacks starting this year.
it's
And
the
the game
trend?
and the college games changed, right? Where they're playing pro offenses, and that was always the thing. They had to speed up real fast to play a pro style offense versus the college offenses that they were playing. So, I like the idea of letting them sit and mature a little bit and really understand the game, how it goes. But I don't think we're ever going to go back.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see a lot of first round failures.
I think that's
You go back a
definitely where
year,
we are.
you
I'm
got
sorry,
CJ
Bruce. Go ahead.
Stroud or Bryce Young.
Bryce Young, who I never believed in coming out of college. I didn't believe in CJ Stroud either, just to be fair.
I didn't either.
I'm
Right.
with you on
And
that.
that dude lit it up. And he's got a swag about him now. Like, it's going to be a very interesting sophomore season for CJ Stroud. I'm interested in watching that one happen. But the rest of it, man, I don't know. I hope the quarterback does well, right? It's better for football if the Broncos are fielding a good team and they have a good quarterback. It's just better for football all over. I think the Raiders have a swag. I think there's something to worry about there. I think the Chargers are an interesting dynamic because they have a new coach and love them or hate them, and I hate them, right? I'm not an Michigan fan at all, and I don't like Harbaugh. I just don't. I like his brother, but I don't like him as a coach. For some reason, just gets under my skin.
He rubs you the wrong way.
But he can coach, right?
Yeah.
Like he coaches winning teams. So, it's going to be a different beast in Los Angeles, right? So, I'm not going to predict any kind of outcome other than the Chiefs in this division. right? I think there's 3 question marks and then the Chiefs. But
That's a fair
it's
statement.
certainly something to worry about, right? You know, I mean, do I take Bo Nix over Gardner Minshew as a starting quarterback? Probably. Probably. I think he's got a better skill set than Gardner. But Gardner proving that he's got that little moxie. I definitely don't take him over Justin Herbert
No.
at all.
I don't know. I understand the direction that you see a lot of teams taking with drafting these quarterbacks, and honestly, I don't think that they're getting enough time to properly evaluate them during preseason or training camp anymore. So you're throwing these guys out there into these very complex systems. And there's these exotic defenses that's designed to trick these guys, and people can not only get hurt, but it could, I think, alter the trajectory of their careers. So while we do see some examples of how it could go well for people like the CJ Strouds of the world, that doesn't always happen. There were 4 or 5 quarterbacks drafted in 2022, I think it was, and none of them are starting today. I think 2 was the only one who's still starting out of that draft class. Big ups to Tua. You know what I mean? He was able to survive that whirlwind of, hopeful quarterbacks who were drafted high in the draft of that draft class, but only one of them came out of it on top. Now, what I will say is I don't think necessarily that you have to not see them play in that first year, midway through the first year or to start the second season. There is so much that you can learn from the sidelines of being the new guy coming in. And I get it. Stidham, he's not your guy. At a minimum, he's a bridge to Bo Nix, right? Certainly we seen what Alex Wilson was in New York, and I don't even know why you guys signed him, to be honest with
I
you.
don't know either.
But I think that just because that's what everybody's doing doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do, particularly given the fact that you don't have enough time to evaluate who you truly have anymore. For God's sakes, these guys when they're in training camp, they're redshirted. You can't even touch them. So there's so many big plays that they're making downfield where if that was in a real live contact sport or type of event, they would have been sacked, right? Maybe even hurt at the speed that the game is actually played at. So I don't know. I'll be the lone wolf in this particular part of the debate and say that I like it better when the guy sits back and truly learn some of the things you can only learn by being that guy watching what's developing on the field, the adjustments that are made, how you're audible in and out of plays, how when you come to the sideline and the play didn't work and you're talking to the quarterback's coach and the OC and you're talking about what did you see, what went wrong. There's so many intangibles that I think it gets lost when you don't have an opportunity to see something. Not for nothing, let the other guy make the mistake and you learn from his mistakes in a live game action type of setting and become better and build off of that. In terms of your division, I don't know, man. Bruce, like there's some heavy lifting that's got to happen. Like I like the Broncos, right? I like what you're doing. I think that Sean Payton is a really good coach. I think he played his cards right in his first year going into Denver because he knew he had to figure out what he had, right?
Mhm.
So he had a real vanilla type of system that he was using. He wasn't trying to take deep shots down the field. He was just taking all the underneath stuff that they would give to him, all the quick game stuff. Yeah, he got 3,000 passing yards. He had a high touchdown to turnover ratio, but that's the game that they play. It wasn't a game to win the division. You
Mhm.
guys went 2-4 in the division last year, and that wasn't an accident. Yeah, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chargers are good, but like you said, Herbert don't win shit. He put up gaudy numbers, right? I think he had a 5,000 passing yard season, even a couple of 4,000 passing yard seasons. And the only time he didn't reach 4,000 yards is because he was injured, but he was close. But that doesn't win games. Winning games is a complete team effort, and they haven't shown that. So the Chiefs are still the class of that division. I'm with Mike. I think the Raiders are going to be scary, man. I think they're going to be scary good. I like Antonio Pierce. I like what he's doing down there. Gardner Minshew. Mike has talked about this on more than one occasion. He is the perfect quarterback to lead the Raiders out of the tunnel. And what's the name of that stadium? The Black something?
The Death
Like
Star.
toilet?
The Death Star. He's like the perfect quarterback for that team, and their defense is crazy good. I think you're going to see a lot of good things coming out of Oakland. I mean, Las Vegas. I don't have the same feeling though about Harbaugh that you do, Mike. I like Harbaugh. I don't care about who he is. I like him as a coach. Well, you did say you like him as a coach. You don't like him as a person, but I don't know who I would call behind the Chiefs though, the Raiders or the Chargers. I think I'd have to go with the Raiders because Herbert's been there and hasn't shown us like Bruce said he could win, right? I want to see the Broncos do better, but you gotta give me more.
Let's
There's
be
too
Yeah,
much
they're still-
uncertainty.
let's
They're still
be
developing,
clear
but-
about Gardner Minshew, right? Like, if we didn't get it, like I think he's the fourth best quarterback in the division, right?
The fourth.
The fourth in the division. I think that the best quarterback is obviously Patrick Mahomes, right? Herbert is a better version of Kirk Cousins, but he's still better than Bo Nix right now, right? Until I see something out of Bo Nix. But that's what Herbert is. Herbert is going to throw for 5,000 yards, but he's not going to win when it counts, right? And then you got Bo Nix and Gardner Minshew, and Bo Nix he's a better athlete. He's a better quarterback. He's probably coming in with, if not the most experience of any college quarterback, certainly up there, right? Like he played college ball for a long time at a high level as a starter. So he comes in with some track history. The thing about Gardner Minshew though is like he's the quintessential quarterback for what I think the Raiders are bringing to the table as far as just team swag, right? It better go well because Davante Adams is going to get upset early if it's not. And you can't have your star receiver not on the same page with your quarterback. So, it can go south real quick in Vegas. But, as of right now, I still think they're a team to worry about.
I think I agree with the defense. Max Crosby is a freaking animal. He's just a beast.
Animal.
He's scary. But Minshew, and if you look at his career, he comes in as a backup. He gets everyone's jacked. Oh, he's so great. He's out there. He's a lunatic. Huh? And after a couple games, it's like, okay, that show's worn off. And I just don't see it as a starter.
Really?
I don't see it as a starter.
I think he could have been a starter as early as 2022, I think, when he became a backup with the Eagles. I think he could have been a starter that year in this league.
Over Hurts? Or
Over
there with
Herbert?
Hurts?
No, not
You're talking
over
about-
Hurts. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think that Gardner Minshew had enough on his resume. He put
I
enough
got you.
film
Yeah.
out there where he could have been a starter. He could have started over Justin Fields in Chicago any day and given them better chances of winning games. He's a better quarterback. He's a more accurate passer. He makes better decisions with the ball. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to do a Gardner Minshew commercial here. All I'm saying is he has film that show he knows how to read defenses. He knows how to check out of plays that it looks like the coverage is not going to allow it to be successful. Right now, I would argue that Bo Nix is a better quarterback than him, but he's an unproven commodity. Until we see him do it at this level, I can't sign off on that. I can be as hopeful of the next one, but hope don't win games, right? What you do wins games. So I want to see them do well also. I want to see a new chief in the East. I mean, in the West.
West. Yeah.
I want to see that. Listen, when Terrell Davis amassed two back-to-back seasons where you guys won the Super Bowl back to back. I was all about them Broncos.
Yeah,
All
me
about
too.
it. I was always a big Elway fan set when we played him and put him on his ass that in that Super Bowl. But outside of that, I like the Denver Broncos. I just don't know. There are too many questions that I need answers to. We already talked about a couple of them. What's going on with the wide receiver position? What's
Right.
going on with Patrick Surtain? You got this rookie quarterback that's going to be starting that's looked great as far as I'm concerned, above average as far as I'm concerned in the preseason. But preseason doesn't equate to, not by any measure, not by any metric, as the regular season. What are we going to get? And I think also we talked about how Sean Payton adjusted the play calling to make sure that we sold tickets, right? Because that's what it was. It's still a
Right.
business. So we adjusted the play calling to make sure that they sold tickets, not to win the division. Does he have to do that again now that he's ushering a rookie quarterback out there? What is he going? What's your play calling going to look like with Bo Nix?
Think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be exciting. I think it's gonna be fun. I think he's gonna test the kid. I think he's gonna see what he can do. If, to your point, confidence starts waning, then he may have to say, "Okay, we're gonna play a little safer." But I think he's gonna go for it right off the bat and say, "Show me what you got, kid. Let's see what it is."
Yeah,
We got some speed. Marvin Mims, I talked about him earlier. He's quick. He can stretch the field. They may try it with him. And I think Cortland Sutton's highly over or underrated, I should say. A lot
yeah,
of people
he
don't look at
is.
him, and he
Mm-hmm.
throw up the 50-50 balls. He comes down with them more than 50-50. So I think that's the opportunity at wide receiver. Tight end scares me. And like I hadn't heard anything about Patrick. You said that. I'll take your word for it, but that would be very disappointing to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought he was coming back from his knee pretty well, and he was always a big third down back. So I thought he was great, but we'll see. And like I said earlier, the tight end position is always a question mark. But I think they're going to run. I think there might be a lot of design runs with Bo Nix because he's an athlete.
Yeah,
So
but you need
stretch
a
the
good
field
running
that
game to
way.
have that too. How you
Yeah,
feel about your running game this year?
I feel very good. I think,
That's what I
like I
want to
said,
do.
guys coming off a bad knee usually struggle the first year. So that was Javante last year. Still ran hard, but I love that kid. I
Yeah,
think Jamal McLaughlin, I think he's a solid backup. If not, he could probably be a starter. So I think those two give a good 1-2 punch. And I guess they brought a fullback back, a guy named has the same name as the guy that threw the touchdown on the Philly.
let's see.
Lloyd would know that.
Who threw what?
But he's a fullback. Um,
Watson, Blake Watson,
no, not Watson.
Estime, Batty, McLaughlin, Perrine.
Maybe they got rid of him
It's
already. I don't know.
like Trey Burton threw the touchdown.
Burton. Yeah, so they have a fullback
His,
named Burton.
his brother, is it his brother?
Oh, I don't
They
know.
related?
Oh, I have no idea, but I just know fullback.
You know, that's the Giants that does that, Mike. The
Yeah, Michael
Giants
Burton.
takes the brother of the guy
Yeah.
who's good, and then the brother
Yeah,
never
Michael
does
Burton.
well.
Fullback, a lot of teams don't use the fullback anymore. I think Broncos didn't use them, and I think the running game is going to be the key. Again, is it our step back into relevance? Maybe I'm being a fan and being hopeful, but I try to be objective. It's an exciting time.
Yeah,
It's not Peyton joining the team, but it's an exciting time, and I'm looking forward to this year. Like I said, we haven't gone in 3 or 4 years, so we're going to go again this year. And I guess last year, I guess they were in Baltimore, which is only 2 hours from where I live, and we were like, I'm not going, and thank God we didn't. I think we lost 10-0 that day. I would have, if I would have run on the field.
what games have you circled on your schedule and said, I can't wait for this fucking game right here?
Uh Russell coming in, week 2 is the Steelers.
Week two?
Oh, yeah, always, always the Raiders. I mean,
I
we
know
haven't
you
beaten
hate
them
the
in God knows.
Raiders.
we haven't beaten them in God knows how long, but that's always a big game. That's a big game. And
Well,
then
you
we play the
split with
Jets
the
this year.
Chiefs last year, right? You split with the Chiefs and the
Yeah, we
Chargers,
split with the
right?
Chiefs. Yeah, we beat them for the first time, I think, in 7 years or
Oof.
6 years, something crazy like that. So since Mahomes has been there, it's the first time we beat Mahomes. So that's always, that's always a circle. But that's kind of, yeah, I hope we beat them, but now that we did, now there's hope. But yeah, the Raiders, any conference, any division games, obviously is always a big deal. We got the Jets
Sure.
this year, so might be driving up to New York for that game. And then, like I said, and we got Cleveland on a Monday night, so that'll be some fun with the other guy that's usually on the podcast. We'll have some
Chris,
fun there. Yeah.
I mean,
So
you're going up
we were
against
talking,
some stellar defenses this year too, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not trying to curb your expectations at all here, right? Like,
I got you.
it's Broncos
whenever they
Day
say
here,
that they're not
here in
trying
Randy's
to,
house.
that's exactly what they're doing, by the way.
What's up? Yeah. But you mentioned the Steelers, you got the Jets, you got the Ravens, you got the Chiefs twice, and you have the
The
Browns,
Raiders
right?
twice.
So
Yeah,
those are four of the top five NFL defenses that you
yeah,
have on your schedule for 5 games. That's, I mean, where it bodes well is I think the Chargers are if they're not dead last, they're pretty close as far as defensive rankings go. They're not
yeah.
that good defensively, which is mind-boggling to me, by the way, since we're talking about the West, right? They spend a lot of draft capital on defense. I just don't think any of them have been able to stay healthy for
Right.
any extended period of time.
And speaking of which, their bye isn't until week 14.
Ooh. So that's the exact opposite of the Eagles. Eagles is in week 5. That's their bye week. So then they got to run the rest of the table without a bye week. You guys got to go through a gauntlet, but
Gauntlet.
I think it bodes well, right? Like when's their bye week?
The Broncos?
Week 14.
14, yeah.
Right after they play Cleveland. In
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Probably a good time for a pause,
Yeah.
Then you
No,
got
they
the
play Cleveland at home. I'm sorry.
you play Cleveland at home, but their defense is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is Steelers, yeah, great defense, but we've already touched on that. Do Wilson Field scare me? No. Raiders, Minshew, we've talked about that. He doesn't scare me. So I think we can get away with some low scoring games there. Cleveland, is Deshaun Watson going to finally wake up? I don't think so. So
Raiders are probably middle of the pack defense wise, right? Probably slightly above average, not
yeah,
dead in the middle. Not to say they're a bad defense, right? But they're definitely in the top 50%.
You
But
know what the problem with that though is, Mike? The problem with the Raiders, with the Broncos, is the Raiders play the Broncos the way Washington plays Philly.
Yeah.
They show up. For whatever reason, they become this immovable force, right? Against the Broncos. And that's one of the things that pisses Bruce off, because Bruce inherently believes, and I will too, that the Broncos have been a better team than the Raiders over the past few years, right?
Yeah.
However, they just can't, for some reason, the Raiders have their number. It's nuts.
Max Crosby.
That name is seared in his head, by the way. Max Crosby.
Was that?
Max Crosby's name is seared in your mind.
Oh, no. If he played the Broncos every week, they'd put him in the Hall of Fame before he retired. He lives in our backfield. He's he's an animal. And I think he's a funny guy too, but whatever. But I can't give him credit for anything wearing that black stupid uniform.
I bet you if he saw the trade to the Broncos, you'd take him.
100%.
100%.
100%.
I got my Barkley jersey ordered. So,
Oh, do you?
No,
I do. Yeah.
I wish I got to see more Broncos games. I just don't. I don't see too many of them. A, it's on the other side of the country, and
Yeah.
B, it's in the other conference. So
Mm,
unless
Yeah,
they're playing one of our division teams, we don't really see them play that often.
yeah.
that and the
No,
4 o'clock games, we're getting the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are playing
Yeah,
a 4 o'clock game, that's what they're putting on TV.
no,
You
that's
know,
why I waste my money and get that Sunday ticket
yeah.
so I can
But
watch my boys.
I
so
think Mike and I both had to do a little bit of research just to
yeah,
have this conversation today.
yeah.
All right.
Because we don't get to see much of Denver Broncos football.
Yeah.
Outside of Bo Nix, right? Is there another rookie or acquisition that you're excited to see?
Um, why not? I mean, just some of the. I mean, I
We're
guess
just
we
all
picked
in
up a
on
new
Bo.
offense.
Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, we picked up an offensive lineman. I guess our center Cushionberry was a big disappointment. So I can't remember who it is, but we picked up an offensive lineman in the draft. That I mean, that's what's been our biggest downfall the past few years. Our O line has been terrible. Garrett Bowles actually has gotten much better.
Yeah.
Um, he was holding almost every play a couple of years ago. Now I think he was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So the offensive line's gotten better. And again, I can't remember the kid's name that we drafted, but he played with Bo in Oregon.
Yeah, that's
I think they're kind
Franklin.
of
That's
hoping
what
for a
it
little magic there.
yeah, I'm interested in that one, right? Because I think if they're talking about releasing, cutting,
Yeah,
your number two receiver, right? Like you're talking about cutting your number two receiver. I'm
yeah,
guessing that this Franklin kid is showing some spunk and they
yeah,
like what they see and they're hoping to get him a little bit more involved in the offense.
right. So he's exciting. And then, like I said, our my biggest concern offensively is the tight end position, but maybe we won't need one. Although that's always been our Achilles heel on defense too, is defending the tight end, especially that Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
You won't even call him his name, huh?
Nope.
He's the
I
boyfriend.
I refuse. I just heard he's going to be the new Happy Gilmore, and I'm not watching the movie now.
Who's going to be the new Happy Gilmore?
That's
Taylor's
funny.
Taylor's boyfriend.
That's funny.
Oh, and my wife's a Swiftie, so I have to listen to Taylor and him, whatever. So, and of course, she loves his brother too.
Me hug him.
That's another.
Oh, no Giant gear tonight. Day one over, day one in the books,
What's that?
day one school in the books.
She's got school in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, was today day one though?
Day one. Yeah.
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 That's
All right.
nice. I miss those days. My baby just turned 26 today.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm old. I'll admit it.
so day 1,500 on the job for her, right?
Yeah,
Or somewhere around that.
So I'm sorry. You were talking about Tony Franklin. Did you say you like what you saw from him?
yeah. I think so. I think he's got potential. Like I said, I was talking before you joined us. We were talking a little bit about it. I said I don't know if it's going to be, the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow connection. They played in college together, did what they did, but there's something to be said about that familiarity,
Oh yeah,
especially
no question
especially
about it.
getting to your point about rookies starting right away. There's some comfort level there. Hey,
Yeah.
I remember throwing to that guy, for the past couple of years now. Let's keep it going.
Well,
So
I
we'll
mean,
see.
he was kind of lights out at Oregon, you know?
Yeah,
Like 17 yards per reception is not that's not everyday stat line, you know?
no, it's
That's
not.
big play. So
Yeah,
the potential's there. I'm just interested to see, what the Broncos are thinking, right? Like, I didn't expect to see Tim Patrick on the blocks.
yeah. Well, like I said, I hadn't until you guys said something about it, I was shocked. I didn't know anything about that. So that's a
Yeah,
shame
there was a
because
couple of notifications that I know hit my phone about it. I was like, oh. In fact, there's a lot of people and Giants beat writers and podcasters saying, "Go after Surtain, go after him, make the call." I'm like, with our luck, Howie already got him on the hook, bringing him into Philly.
Problem. Yeah. I just think if the Broncos are going to let him go, it's going to be very expensive drafts or big name players. He's the real deal, and I will be, I don't want to say devastated, might be overstating it, but I would be very upset. I mean,
Yeah,
he's the real deal. I don't want to, say he's Deion Sanders type cover lockdown corner, but he's getting there. He's only his fourth year now.
yeah,
He's he's solid. Champ Bailey was pretty good,
he
and he
was
speaks
really good.
very highly of him.
Hmm.
So I would be very upset if they let him go. So we never know. I'm sure he may want a whole lot when his fifth year comes up.
Hey, I got a question for both of you guys. I don't know if you noticed this, but this past weekend's games, a lot of people decided, a lot of coaches decided, kick that ball through the end zone. We don't want to see any run backs. And they've been taking it out at the 30. Have you guys did you notice that, or is it just me?
No, I
I
noticed
didn't.
it, right? And I think we talked about it last
We
week
did.
where the new kickoff rule provides opportunity, right? I mean, all you got to do is get a body on a body and you can open up some lanes. It's not, you're not dealing with people coming down, wild banshee just running, headstrong into somebody. And you don't have gunners anymore, right? Like that was a position. That's I don't know. I played high school football, and there was always a gunner. It was your fastest dude. Just get to the ball, get to the X, and make a stop, right? And we're not going to see that. So, yeah, I noticed it. I think it makes a lot of sense. Just take that away. But what's the rule though if it's through the end zone or if they kneel it? I think there's a ball spot difference.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
It's confusing.
I know if it doesn't land in the landing zone, it lands before the landing zone. So you can't squib kick anymore. That's a penalty and it comes out to the 40,
Yeah.
right? So it's got to land in a landing zone. But if it goes in the end zone and you down it in the end zone, I think you get the ball at the 30.
Hmm.
But I could be just making shit up because it sounds right too.
It sounds great. It sounds like it's the rule.
And one thing I don't like either, and I'll be honest with you, we talked about this last week, and it's experimental right now. It's not something that they've adopted throughout the league, is getting rid of the chain game. So this past weekend games, there were, I think half the games used the new geo tracking technology to determine whether or not you got the first down. And then the other half of games use the traditional chain game, right? What do you feel about? We've talked about that,
Yep.
Mike and I, Bruce. But what do you feel about the different ways that they're measuring for the first down now?
I mean, the chain gang always intrigued me because you bring out the chain and you're this short. How do you know where you started the chain was that short? Like, there's always found that to be intriguing. Like, you don't measure it that closely when you're doing it. Now you're supposed to, well, it's approximately 10 yards, so you couldn't do that either. So anytime technology can help get it right, I'm in favor of it.
Hmm. So
So
you
I
like
get
the technology?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting go over to baseball. I'm not sure I'm in favor of robo umps, although some of them are so bad it might be. But in this case, I think it makes sense as long as it's accurate. But now, are they going to go to technology to do the spotting the ball better?
Are you going to
How do
go?
you
But
do
and
that?
where technology falls short is where was the knee down, right?
Right.
When
Right.
was the knee down? Like the ball might have made it, but was the knee down a second right before the ball made it across the line? Like
Which
and,
is
and they're
still
not put.
challengeable, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But it's still it leaves. I mean, just stop questioning, right? There's going to be good calls. There's going to be bad calls. That's the way I feel about it, right? Like, unless it's super egregious, like it was a college game, but that South Carolina, who the fuck were they playing? Were they playing Miami? They were playing maybe they were playing Florida. I don't know. But they stopped them and they called a first, like it was clearly short, right? With the chain gang. They called them short. So, or they gave him the first down, but then that was the next year. Jadeveon Clowney made his name and blew up the running back and forced the fumble. So karma worked out, right? Karma typically works out.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see some blend of both though, because I do agree with you, Bruce. Like I think that, if there's a questionable, if it's undecipherable to find out where the knee was down, then you got to go with the ball. And did the ball cross that imaginary line? I think that helps out with touchdowns too.
Mhm.
I don't know that using a digital form of measuring is going to improve the quality of determining whether or not they actually got the first. I think the key governing issue is, where was the knee? That digital measurement from where the ball is to where the first down marker is, for me, has never been in question. What's in question is, where was the ball when the knee went down? That's the question.
Yeah.
Now, it is very difficult to do these referees' jobs. Sometimes I'm amazed at how they got it right at full speed. And I'm sitting here watching it on TV with a great angle. And I'm like, that's a first. And then they spotted it shorter than where I thought it was. And they saw it in full speed with bodies in front of them and got it right. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm impressed, right? And then obviously there's been times where they've just completely fucked it up. One ref's doing this, the other one's doing this. So I think that the part that we need, or they need help with, that's not one of the things they needed help with. Now, if they're saying that it helps them to move the game along more expeditiously, okay, all right. However, that is not going to potentially make or break a drive that could have been a game-winning or game-ending drive of a game, right?
Let me ask Bruce this, right? Because we've talked about it. And I think part of it is also safety, right? Like the chain, like those dudes holding the chains aren't as quick as the NFL players are today. So I think that's part of it, right? But back to the question, is there a little bit of the viewership like you would miss? Like I mean, there's a level of excitement or pause or anxiety, like, all right, what's the measurement going to be, right? And I think that goes a long way for the NFL fans, right? Like, I mean, I have certainly yelled at my TV when like they just made it, and then I'm saying that was a bad spot, of course, right? But do you miss something like from a viewership standpoint as a fan of the game, Bruce? Is that something you
That's
miss?
actually that's an outstanding point, because I didn't think about that. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking, yeah, like remember the guy sliding the paper
The
between that?
index card.
Yeah, I mean that was wow. All right, but yeah, there is something about the drama and the intensity of but yeah, so I guess you would miss out on that. Kind of like I made the baseball reference, so that's why I don't want the robo umps, because there's something about umpire missing a call or getting a call right. So as a fan, yeah, that is part of me says, yeah, as long as they get it right, that's all I care about. But then that's a great point. So, and then even then, you're talking about the anxiety. Yeah, you got the 80-year-old guy holding the chain gang getting laid out by a 25-year-old 300-pound lineman. Watching it. Ooh, that adds something as well.
That runs a
And seeing the
four
guy
six
get up
40.
laughing.
You
What?
know,
And he power
that
lifts 650 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off on a baseball tangent, but you mentioned it twice. I don't like the robo ump either,
Yeah.
but they have got to, there's some umps out there that are just super egregious.
Oh, they have to hold him accountable.
Like, come on, dude. Like that's
No.
yeah, that's a strike.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
got to be something.
Yeah. I get a lot of things in my feed with umpire phone calls, and yeah, no, I'm with you. But
But
yeah,
maybe the
we'll
NFL
talk
can learn
baseball.
from baseball, right? And
Yeah.
not make the same mistakes they make trying to bring technology into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, and
But
these are
again, to what
billion
you're talking about
dollar
with
industries
spots,
too.
you know, what we're talking about with getting the spots right, that's really where it starts. I mean, if we can
Yeah.
get the spots right, then chain gang or the electronic doesn't matter.
Right.
But
And
now
I
I
will
like
the
don't
the
know.
electronic
drama that the
spot the
chain
ball?
brings.
What was that?
I like the drama that comes with the
No, like I
chain.
said, I didn't think of that, but yeah, the drama that's a good word. I mean, like Mike was talking about the anticipation, ooh, and watching them bring it out, and like I said, the index card, that kind of stuff.
I mean, I remember
You know,
watching games that they don't bring out the chains, and like the whole booth is shut. Like, why are they not bringing out the chains? Bring the
yeah,
chains out, right? Somebody throw a flag. Somebody do something.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's just a level of the game that would be missed from a spectator
yeah,
standpoint, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's it'll be interesting, right? Because I mean, technology is well above and beyond where it's ever been, and it
yeah.
keeps getting better. And I don't even know if they tried to throw AI into this, right? But I'm pretty certain that AI can figure out where that ball is supposed to be spotted,
Mhm.
um, if you write the right algorithm. But
We're gonna kill a game
it
now.
takes it way too much away from the game.
Yeah.
It just does, right? Like,
I
I
like the
mean,
human element. I
yeah,
want to curse out a referee every now and then. You stupid motherfucker! He got
yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, we still got Cowboy fans yelling about that.
It
That
was
was
a
an illegal
catch.
pass.
It was a catch.
That was Franco Harris was an illegal pass, right? The
Oh my
immaculate reception.
god!
You know,
Now that you brought it up, was it a catch? Did it hit the ground? Was it truly an
I don't think
immaculate
it was a
reception?
catch.
Huh?
I don't like. I'm confused by the rule now, right? Like, I think
Back to
there's catches in today's NFL that are bobbled a little bit, but like they never lose control. But because they didn't have control all the way through the process, it's incomplete. But like,
And
I
it's
don't know.
subjective. It's
It's
subjective.
subjective,
so
right?
I got two things for you with the immaculate reception. The big thing then, I don't know if you guys remember, or if you're old enough to remember, um, you couldn't go off an offensive player to another offensive player back then.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
question was, did it hit the receiver or the D-back? So that was the first thing. Then did it hit the ground, all the other bullshit. The other one, and my son's still teasing me about this. Go back to the Broncos' first Super Bowl and watch Butch fucking Johnson's touchdown. Talk about not holding it through the. If you ever seen the highlights of it, he dove as he crossed the end. He hits the ground, ball pops up, but he had possession in the air over the goal line. They called it a touchdown. I'm getting all fucking worked up over it now. That's 40 some years ago.
Hey, Bruce,
So
it is not often that somebody comes onto this podcast and says, I don't know if you guys remember, right? So I appreciate that
yeah.
coming out of your mouth, right? Like, I think
That's
that's
right.
first and foremost. Because I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I know the Steelers won, but I don't know the Butch Johnson.
Yeah, I'm not
Now I'm
familiar
going to
with
have to
that
go
one
find it.
either.
You're gonna have to Google it, and I'm
And I'm
telling
old
you,
enough. I just don't know if I remember that one.
I was 14 when that happened, so I don't know. I'm 61 now, so that was
You're
many
five
years
years
ago.
older than me, 6 years older than me.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I thought you were younger than that.
No.
All
No,
right.
I was
So yeah,
8,
so
so
you
I
should
didn't
remember
watch
that.
it.
So you would have
I
been
was
8 or 9 then.
playing with a bicycle or something, but
Yeah.
I was eating
No,
dirt.
but that every time I see that, I get worked up, and my buddies, guys, that was 40 years ago. Get over it. Now I'm not. I mean, we lost that game. Our offense was terrible that day anyway. But Butch John, look, I'm telling you guys, look it up and get back to me and tell me what you think.
I will. Butch Johnson, Mike. We got to look it
So,
up.
so not being a hater to answer your question, yes, it was a catch.
You
I
think it
think
was a catch?
yeah, I think he made a football move. I think he purposely dove forward. I think he turned his body, and you know, all the ball needs to do is cross the line. That's all it needs to do, right? Doesn't matter if it hits the ground and pops up. Like, I think it was a catch. I think he made a football move.
Was Des Bryant a catch?
Yeah,
Ah, then
Really? You think
that's the one I'm
so?
talking about.
no, I'm
That's
talking about Butch Johnson.
I've never seen that. I think
All
Des
right, I
Bryant
thought you
was a
said, I
catch.
thought maybe you watched it right away. No,
No,
Dez, no,
I
that, yeah.
think Des Bryant was a catch.
You think Des Bryant's was a catch?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that Des Bryant's was a catch to some, but I'm glad the way the call worked out.
Oh, me too. 100%. Right? Like I'm
Oh,
you know,
absolutely, yes.
and now I'm on record on video of saying that it was a catch, so I can't talk shit anymore. But I can because what I think doesn't fucking matter.
We're gonna have
Right?
to chop it up and make a meme out of that. It was a catch.
You know,
I'm gonna cut this part out. This part's getting edited.
See, now
I
I'm
think
fucking
that's
looking
the
up that
show,
game, so
gentlemen.
I'm putting it away. Get
One
myself
last
over.
question for you, Bruce.
All right.
What's your record going to be at the end of the year? Barring any horrible injury from key members of your team.
I've done this over and over, being pessimistic, being optimistic, being realistic.
Here's a disclaimer, Mike.
I'm gonna say 10-7.
That's
That's with
optimistic.
that's a split with all three in our division.
Well, that supports your claim that you're going to get a wild card.
Yeah,
Woo!
I think.
We're going to have to write that one down, Mike. 10-7.
We should beat Seattle first week. We should beat Steelers second week. Remember a few years ago we started 3-0, and then with Fangio. But yeah, I think 10-7 is my put me on record.
I'm writing it down now, buddy.
All right. That
You
could be
said
like the
you're
Manning cast
beating.
where
Who
you
you
put my head
beating?
up if I'm right.
Who are you beating?
Ah,
Let's look at this real quick before we
All right.
wrap, okay?
yeah.
If you don't mind, let's look at this real quick. All right, so week one. Week one, you got Seattle.
Right. That's a win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
Pittsburgh, week two in
Win.
Pittsburgh. No,
That's a win.
Pittsburgh at home.
Yes, that's a win.
That's a dub. Tampa Bay in Tampa.
That's an L.
Jets at New York.
That's a win. I got it because I can't let Corky beat me.
Really? That's a win?
I think so.
Vegas at home.
Vegas at home, we win. Vegas on the road, we lose. But we'll get to that. I'm saying it's a split.
Chargers at home.
That's a win.
New Orleans in New Orleans.
That's a win. Saints aren't good.
You know right now you're 6-1 right now, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Carolina at home.
7-1.
At Baltimore.
That's a loss.
It's getting cold. This is November, so that's an L.
Yeah.
At Kansas City.
That's a loss.
Atlanta at home.
That was a coin toss. I'll be optimistic. I'll say it's a win since we're home.
At
Kirk
Vegas.
Cousins doesn't scare me.
At Vegas is what?
At Vegas isn't a loss. God, I hate saying that.
Cleveland's coming to town.
I'll say L. I mean,
that's a Monday night, by the way.
Yep, I know.
Okay, so that's an L.
All right.
Indianapolis.
Is Richardson healthy by then? I don't know. I'll take a W. We'll take that at home.
That's a dub. At LA, Chargers.
At LA, I'll take the loss.
All right. At Cincy.
That's a loss.
Kansas City coming to town to wrap up the season.
Well, I say we're going to split, so I guess because the Chiefs will have the division wrapped up by then, so
That's
I think we beat Carson Wentz. So what do I got there?
That's 10-7. You called it. That's 10-7.
Hey, starting 7-1.
If you
Only win
start
the next.
7-1, I can only imagine the memes you're gonna be posting.
Oh, you can't. Nah, I'll be all over that. Whole lot of boner ones.
I wrote it down, Mike. I
I
got receipts.
I don't know if you guys beat Seattle week 1.
Did you see Gino the other day?
No.
He looked
No,
good. Oh my God. He looked good. He looked like, how was he ever a backup for as long as he was? I don't know. He
I don't
looked
I don't
good.
know.
know, man.
I mean,
I
I
always
think
go
there's
back
a
to
good
that.
chance you go. How many games did you go to get to 7-1? I'm
8.
going to let you have it. I'm going to let you have 10-7. I'm not going to get into it, Bruce. Right? I just
And
don't. I'm not as optimistic as you are to start the season.
obviously, I'm a little biased.
Obviously.
Obviously,
I mean,
you
it's a
know,
homer pick, right? Come on, give it to him, right?
I'll give it
ev-
to him.
I think
everyone's an optimist in spring training.
8 and 9 is where you'll be, but I hope you get to 10-7. Is that
8,
fair?
9. As long as there's meaningful games in December, that
I
means
can't
something.
give you 7-1 to start the season.
Yeah, but you never know.
You never know. Stranger things have happened, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's a show.
All
Can
right,
we get a
gentlemen.
here we go, Giants? Here we go now?
Go Birds.
Yeah.
No?
Go Birds.
Can we get a fuck your team?
We can get a fuck yo team.
Fuck everyone.
All
Absolutely.
Thanks,
right,
Man, well,
Bruce.
gentlemen.
thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. You need me for anything else, I can talk besides the AFC West, but yeah, this is great.
All right.
Now we're gonna definitely have you back.
Yeah. We're
Uh,
going to try to bring everybody that we bring on for one-on-one. We're going to bring them back to a really like a big group melee. That's what I think we're
all
going
right.
to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be
All right.
like a Royal Rumble on
Yeah.
Zoom.
Royal Rumble
Oh,
of trash talk
there you
at
go.
Randy's house. All right, gentlemen.
All
All
right,
right,
man.
guys. Good night.
Have a
Appreciate
great
you.
night. I'll see you.
All
All
right.
right.
All right. Good night, guys.
Later.